Hello, everyone. I just thought that I wanted to come on and give you another little update about making your own cording rope, um, ties for your journals, things like that. And this time, instead of paper, I want to show you a few little things about using fabric. You do it exactly the same way as we do with making the paper rope, and I will try to put the paper rope video right up there. If not, if I can't get it up there, then it will be in the description box for sure. But I wanted to come on and just give you a couple of little tips about doing this with fabric. The big thing is that with fabric, you can get much longer pieces of the base, the stuff you're going to twist. And when you do that, they're going to tangle up more. So you want to roll them up into little balls. This is just little balls with elastic around them. Okay, so if you've got some really long pieces, this works real well if you put your pieces into little balls. The weight of the fabric makes a little bit difference in how the cord goes together, just like with the paper. The width of the fabric makes a difference. One of the things I would suggest that you look at is using old clothing for fabric, something that you don't want anymore. This fabric came from this old skirt. It's one of those like gypsy skirts or whatever, peasant skirt, something like that, where it had multiple rows. So when I cut off the bottom edge, I've got a lot of fabric that I can turn into this cord or something else. This one was made with this slightly heavier fabric, and one of the things about it is it's not cotton, and therefore it doesn't tear very well, which is a good thing, because when you tear the fabric, you end up with all of these little threads and things, and that's one of the things I would suggest you don't do. I know that it's nice to tear fabric and it makes it easier, but I would highly recommend that you cut your fabric. And one of the things is it doesn't have to be perfectly straight, doesn't have to be perfectly on grain or anything like that. So if you just take the end of your fabric and fold it reasonably well, you can fold it 3 or 4 times, and it won't take that much to cut yourself a nice long strip. See here, and I can cut a strip. Now, depending upon the weight of your fabric, depends on how thick you want your how wide you want your strips. Okay, this is about 1 inch. Well, it's going to work perfectly for what I want to do with it. I could mix this fabric with some other fabric and get a different look to it. I just thought I would use this same fabric. One of the things about, well, let's just do it with this. That would be fun, wouldn't it? Like I said, it is probably best if we cut the fabric, not tear it. Okay, now I know that this piece is going to be short, so we're just going to go ahead and angle the ends. Now I could go in and sew these pieces together, and have a nice long strip, or I can put it together the same way that I put the paper together. You notice that this one's narrower and this one's wider. Well, this fabric's a little bit thinner, so I just made it a little bit wider. It wasn't really, it's not really one of those scientific things. It's one of those things that you just kind of play with. It's something that it's about practice. Now, I could tie this together. I could stitch it across there. Right this minute, I'm just going to clip it with this clip just because it will be easier to show you and hold for video. Let me bring this back in again. Sorry, make you dizzy. Okay, so what we're going to do is exactly the same thing we did with our paper. To make our paper cording, we're just going to twist it away from us until we get this piece twisted up. And we're going to twist this piece away from us until we get it twisted up. And then we're going to take them and wrap them towards ourselves. Okay. Now there's one thing about this that is not like the paper. Right now, if I took this end off of here, this would totally unravel. So I'm going to have to do something as far as a knot or stitching or something to make it stay. When you do the paper, because it's crunched up, it just tends to stay where it's supposed to be. So once again, I'm going to twist this away from me. Oops. Honestly, it's easier to do this with paper, believe it or not, but there's always this fabric laying around, and maybe you've put some fabric in your journal and you want to make a cord to tie it with something that you've already got. I'm just trying to twist it up so that I can get to where I need to add this other piece for you. Just in case you haven't seen the other video. Okay, so now we're just going to twist it towards us. When you twist the two together, you twist them towards yourself. When you're twisting one up by itself, you twist it away from yourself. And you can just put all kinds of fabrics together, making fun, different cords. Okay, we're to the point where I need to put, and see, that one looks different than this one because I used a narrower piece and I used a second piece. So this piece is getting too short. And like I said, we could have sewed those together. We could have put a drop of glue on them and stuck them together. But I'm just going to twist them. I'm going to put it right in here like this. I'm going to tuck the two together and I'm going to twist it. Come here. And then I'm going to wrap it around itself. Okay, see? I got this nice piece of cord. Oops, it undid itself, didn't it? Now, I honestly would not normally use such tiny little pieces unless I was going to sew it together. Just because it's going to mean you're constantly trying to put pieces together. if I was going to use that little piece, I probably would take the time to sit at the sewing machine for a couple minutes and just stitch some pieces together and make a long strip. This does not have to be cut on the bias. It does not have to be cut on the grain. You just want a strip. Now, cut on the bias, you could pull this apart. So I would cut more across the grain or along the grain so you have longer fibers. Cutting it on the bias means you have little short strips. I'll show you that. I'll explain that again in a minute as soon as I put this down. I want to get past that joint. And remember, you just twist it away from yourself. And then when you twist the two together, you twist them towards yourself. Okay. And when you have to get up with this, you need to clip it because, as I said, with the paper, it stays pretty well crunched together. With the fabric, it's likely, see, it's not unwinding too bad right now, but it would be best either to run a little stitch in that or to just tie it in a knot. And that's what I usually do, is tie it in a knot. Just because I think the knots are cute too. So then it's got cute little tails. So as I said, when you're twisting this one, you twist it away, same as with this, twist it away till it twists up. So you get enough little ravelies just with having cut it. Okay, so then when you twist it towards yourself, you take this one over this one, like so. Okay. Now then, I was talking about grain and bias. This is our little piece of fabric, and this is the very edge of the fabric. So while this is not exactly straight, grain runs parallel to the edge this way. Now there's another grain that runs across this way. In other words, fibers, threads run this way, and they run this way. If you cut across the fabric at a 45-degree angle like that, that's cutting it on the bias. And what's going to happen is then you end up with little short threads in your fabric. So if you're cutting to make this rope, it is best to cut across this way or this way, not at an angle. Okay, that's just a little quick update on making your own cording and ties and things for your journals. I hope this makes sense. If it doesn't, please put a note in the comments and let me know, and I will try again. If you've ever made any of this cord, or if you've tried the paper cord, let me know. I'd really like to know if this is something that you might try. In the meantime, I'm going to read you a quote from our 1001 Ways to Creativity, and I am going to get busy doing some other things that I must do today. Words are things. A small drop of ink falling like dew upon a thought produces that which makes thousands, perhaps millions, think. Lord Byron. Oh, that's very interesting. Okay, guys, go have fun. Make some art. Bye-bye.